Welcome back to the Tracy Take. I'm Tyler here with my brother Ryan, and today we are doing a live mock draft for the Buffalo Bills. Be sure to leave a comment, let us know your thoughts on all of these selections, and while you're at it, hit that subscribe button, tackle that bell to get notified when new videos come out. Ryan, let's start the draft here. So,
Let's do it.
Bills, they're one, very few free agents, and honestly, kind of very few holes to fill. They do need some more skill position players as a whole, and that's what I'm going to be curious about as well. And they're not in the best spot to get some of the top end talent. Like, I don't think Emeka Egbuka is going to fall to them. I don't think that Luther Bird is going to fall to them. I will say we're not doing trades in this draft, but they have 10 picks, so I could see them, if they do
Yeah.
fall into the early to mid 20s, being aggressive. I think Alec Iomanor is too much of a crossover to what like Keon Coleman or some of those other guys, or what Matt Collins or Mark Cooper, if they end up re-signing them, would be.
Mhm.
But they are really going to have to use a lot of these picks, I think, on the receiver spot because as of right now, they only have three guys on contract. So sitting here at
I
30, what are you thinking overall for their
I
pick?
I think it's gonna be receivers and trenches. I don't feel like they're getting great value here at receiver. I do feel like you look Walter Nolan is at the top there. I feel like this is right in the middle of his range.
Yep.
One guy that has been a riser as of late is Demetrius Knight. Matt Milano is getting older. His play has started to fall off. And then I think from there, has also been rumored, I believe, to not even be with the team in 2025. So you go in and could get potentially a Demetrius Knight in the room. Tyleik Williams could be a much more run stuffing defensive tackle, and then you pair him up with Ed Oliver, and just kind of depends on what look you want there. I feel like Walter Nolan, more of the penetrating defensive tackle, is going to be a little bit more of their type.
I
Nick
like that.
Scorton is there. I
Let's uh,
mean,
let's end up doing Walton Nolan, I will
okay,
say.
and
Yeah.
that's a new name for us in this series. I think too. While we get to the next pick, I think you make that pick. This is a deeper edge. This is a deep edge class. You can maybe look here at 56 or 62, and then this is also probably a spot where they go and add a wide receiver as well. So I'm a big fan of Braden Swinson. I feel like he would do a really good job next on the opposite side of Greg Rousseau. I know we're kind of sticking to the PFF board, but I like that pick. He's not the best in run defense, but again, it's an edge rusher. You're probably really more so wanting him to get up the field. I also too feel like they have Greg Rousseau. They more like the Jordan Birch type, I think, to go opposite, who's going to be like a 270 pound. He's not that big. He's not 295. But he's going to be more like 270, 275 pounds, like the AJ Epinezas, to kind of go across from him. So I it's interesting there. I don't know wide receiver wise. Uh,
Who all still available? The usual
yeah,
cast of characters still around
yeah.
at this point here. Um, I'm I'm almost leaning towards it's. uh, I think to your point, Braden Swinson seems to be more like that outside linebacker type, but they have typically have gone more for the traditional defensive end, right?
Jared Ivey would be another one. Yeah, honestly, you drafted Walter Nolan, keep him up, keep him paired up.
Yeah,
Okay, you want to do Jared Ivey? Start out with the
yeah,
old miss in the trenches.
yeah. They look good already in blue and red, so keep that jersey going for them.
All right.
So I think here at 62 could be a couple different routes that they end up going here. Uh, I'm thinking, so we've already double dipped on the defensive line. Benjamin Morrison, I think, would be absolutely a guy that's worth taking a shot on, just considering like where that
Yeah,
secondary
that would
room is
be.
at, because they have Benford, but then outside of that,
It's a
there's definitely some vulnerabilities.
it's a big risk.
Well, it's so how I'm looking at. I mean, I know it's a 62nd pick overall, but it is your second round pick. You might be able to take a little bit of a luxury there. I'm trying to think of who else could be available. Um, But if the risk pays off, though, then you've got a lockdown corner. You could also go receiver here too, though. I do like these top three receivers, Savion Williams or Jalen Royals. I think Jalen Royals is a good complement in between Keon
Yeah,
Coleman and Khalil Shakir.
let's do Ben Morrison.
Okay.
I think that's the way to go. You have to take a swing at corner if you're the Bills. I think you're gonna go back and watch that AFC Championship game, and you're gonna just watch Kyer Elam just ruin that game for them. And I feel like Benjamin Morrison, yes, it's a big risk. If it pays off, you have a number one corner in him
Yeah.
right now. And so I feel like that could be a spot where he goes. We've seen guys like Nakobe Dean, who was a great linebacker, but had like a major questions about his knee kind of fall to I think it was like 70 something. Like 74. I feel like Benjamin Morrison could have a similar type fall. He's just at a slightly more valuable position, so the risk might be worth it a little bit more. So
Yeah.
Ben Morrison, go in there. I have a plan, I think, to maybe get a high production receiver at 108. I don't think he will be gone based off of um what his rankings are and how this works. So there's a couple options here. So Isaiah Bond at Texas, everybody knows him. That's a brand name wide receiver. Maybe came out a year too early. The other one would be Torrey Horton from Colorado State. He's like 9 yards off Colorado State's all-time leading receiver. But he tore his ACL, I think, in like the third week of the season and missed this entire last year. He had a game against Colorado in that Colorado State game 2 years ago in 2023 that was just phenomenal. He is a phenomenal receiver. He doesn't necessarily play like outside a ton, where you like, which I think works because you have Keon Coleman. But linear wise, he's very fast. I think he could be a really solid fit there. For the Buffalo Bills. He's not really going to step on anybody's toes. Like they just extended Khalil Shakir. He's kind of in between Shakir and Keon Coleman in that aspect of things.
So I like that analogy or that analysis. My one other thought then could be, and it's also too similar to the PFF rankings here as well. And we would need to agree if we think that he would even be here, but they have Ty Felton so low as well that
Mm,
do you think he would be here also as well? Because I think you can say the same thing about Ty Felton.
yeah, we would be approaching the floor of where Ty Felton would be.
I
There there is more overlap with Khalil Shakir, but I feel like you could find ways to get them both on the field.
I'm indifferent. We have done Torrey Horton. We've done Ty
Okay.
Felton before, so I think both would apply because I think it's more going to be getting that positional need,
Okay.
um, as well. So, but I like both those guys. It's just funny we sometimes like forget like we see Ty Felton.
Forget about Ty Felton.
He's
Yeah.
all the way at 217, and in my opinion, I think that's ridiculous. I think he's a top 100 prospect at minimum.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think we're approaching the floor of Ty Felton. I think he's gonna go in that mid third round range. But yeah, let's do Torrey Horton. It is a new name to kind of throw in the mix here. I think he's a really good player. He just had an unfortunate injury this past season. I remember watching him. There are times you see some Justin Jefferson in his game. And
Yeah,
I think that speaks highly of Torrey Horton. So
that's good. I think if you're Bills fans, you would want a Justin Jefferson like comp.
yeah, that is by no means his comp. I just like you just watch him move sometimes, and it reminds me of Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see here.
Let's
What
do
what
so
have we
Walter
done so far?
Nolan, Jared Ivey, three defensive players, defensive interior, edge, corner, wide receiver. They do need a linebacker. I don't know. Barrett Carter just went.
If they're going based off of other types of linebackers they've done in the past, if I do remember correctly, Dorian Williams is a little bit on that lighter side, that speedster size. And I
Yeah,
think that's kind of where Kaiser would be as well.
I I agree. So what's funny to me about that is I feel like they are going that way. The most successful linebacker that Sean McDermott has coached has been Tremaine Edmonds, who was 6'5", 255, like just this monster.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, we could go Kobe King, I know is athletic as well. Um, we can go Jack Kaiser if you want.
Yeah, let's end up doing that here.
Okay.
I think one area too that we haven't done too much so far, but I kind of like their offensive line as a whole is and Bills had one of the more productive offenses last year if we're looking at this, but that maybe could be an area where you start building in some depth as a whole, like the
Mhm.
Bills offense as a whole, 10th, ninth, and ninth when it comes to total yards, passing yards, rushing yards, and first overall in sacks allowed. Now, I think some of that also has to do with Josh Allen's elusiveness and his just kind of overall greatness. But here, I think if you're maybe just looking for best offensive lineman available, build some depth there. I think that could be a route that they could end up going.
I think in terms of versatility, Jonah Monheim is probably the one to look at. Tackle wise, I would say Jack Nelson. Logan Brown has prototypical tackle traits, but he needs to develop. Emory Jones is going to kick into guard for sure.
Let's
Uh,
do someone that can kick into the interior here because if there's
okay,
looking, they have Connor McGovern right now as their center. And they drafted Cedric Van Pran last year as well, so he might be in the waiting. But so
okay.
I think getting some more depth just overall there, I think would be a good spot, especially too now when you're here at 171 and you've got several picks here in a row. Uh,
Let's do Monheim. I feel like he can
let's do
play
that.
that left guard spot. He can really be a backup anywhere, I think, on that interior. But I think that
Perfect.
left guard spot is somewhere where he could fill in because they have Osiris Torrance at that right guard spot,
I like it.
and they have, like you said, depth at center. So
Yeah.
let's go Monheim.
Let's see what other skill position players are available here also.
To do wide receiver. They don't really need tight end.
Yeah, I think they're kind
Do
of
running
Dawson Knox,
back.
Dalton Kincaid.
Have we done corner? Yeah, we did. We did Benjamin
And
Morrison.
Benjamin, we could do another corner here also
They
too as
they do
well.
also need safety. I don't know if
Yeah,
that's
I want to wait a little bit on that one.
yeah. Well, but we can look again in a few. Um,
Luckily
Denzel
though,
Burke
they
might be interesting to double dip there at corner.
I think that would be good too actually. And we're picking it here in 3 picks, so let's
Yeah,
do that. So
let's
we've
do
done
Denzel
center,
Burke.
safety, and then let's get a skill position player here with this pick.
So wide receiver.
Yeah,
Okay.
you do Dante
Um.
Thornton. We want to talk about that outside speed
Yeah.
because
Yeah, that would be good.
even to Keon Coleman, I think he's got a good jump ball X ability, and I think he can develop. But Thornton though has that speed that I don't think not a lot of people have.
No. Well, not the size and speed. And he has more physicality than like a Tyquan Thornton who was like rail thin. Don't get me wrong, Dante Thornton is not built like Keon Coleman, but he's
Exactly,
not
yeah.
rail thin. So
He's like
let's
a
do
totally
let
different type of X.
yeah, yeah. So let's do Dante Thornton, add some speed to that wide receiver room. Um do you think they could look at running back at
Yeah.
this point? I
Well,
feel
I think
like they have James Cook, Ty Johnson, I believe, was brought back as well. Um, I don't know if they want like a third back in that. Oh no, they got who's the kid from Kentucky that's on a
they
rookie
have Ray
contract as
Davis.
well.
So Ty
Ray
Johnson
Davis.
right now is a free agent. So let's look at
Okay,
running back here.
okay. See if there's just a
And you got Ollie Gordon that's still available.
he
Raheem
won't be here.
Sanders.
Uh, I
You could
feel like
do
he had 47 catches on 54 targets.
I
Wow.
think Josh Allen would love that as well too. But
Okay,
even
let's
too,
do
let me go look at James Cook's stats. Or does he have his stats here? Let me PFF it. PFF they should have it. No, they don't. Oh, the Cap should have it. I'm trying to figure out then too as well because James Cook really good in between the tackles. I think the offensive line does a great job blocking for him. But I'm trying to see what James Cook's catching stats are. 32 catches, 258 yards, 2 touchdowns. I do think maybe they could have a little bit more third down back specific. So we could go with
okay.
Mark here.
Let's do marks. They pick again in 2 picks. So, and then from there, just to do a quick recap: defensive interior, edge, corner, wide receiver, linebacker. Uh, the only one they could do is safety. I feel like is that's the only spot we haven't hit that I feel like they could. Um,
Katon Crawford. Let's do that one here.
Katon Crawford from Nevada. All
Yep.
right, I like it. So I really think the Bills. I mean, obviously, when you have Josh Allen, you always have a chance to compete. But in 2025 specifically, I feel like the Dolphins are on the downward trend. The Patriots, I think, are. I mean, as a Patriots fan, I hope they're on the upward trend. But I really feel like only time will tell on that aspect. The Jets are a mess as usual, and so I feel like this year for them, the division is less in doubt. They and granted, it hasn't really been in doubt the last like 4 or 5 years. But it's less in doubt. It is like they're primed to go win the division. The AFC East has a much easier schedule than it did last year. I really feel like this could be the Bills' year. I
Yeah,
feel like even the Chiefs are kind of reeling coming off that Super Bowl loss and uh, getting exposed a little bit. And so I feel like
let's scroll
going
down here while you're.
I feel like
There
going
we go.
forward, the Bills, if they continue to address the trenches, get Josh Allen playmakers, I feel like that they're going to be set up well for success here in the future.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, similar, I think, to kind of the Chiefs. I mean, Josh Allen is can take them to where they want to be. Like they're just a couple plays away every year. It seems like from making deeper and deeper runs into the playoffs. And so you're just trying to find these guys that can come in and contribute, get some more guys like Gregory, or that complement Gregory Rousseau. They do need to improve this defense overall. It's like it's serviceable because I think a lot of times too, the Bills, they can get a lead, they can control this offense, they control the clock as well too with how good they are running the ball under this Joe Brady system. And so, but that's where I think if they can get even more lethal on the defensive side of the ball, so it's possible they go like with their 3 picks in the first 2 rounds, they go all defense and try and get the best defensive talent, considering how deep this class is. But they do also need to get some more skill position players as well, because Keon Coleman still some question marks. There are some good moments, yes, and you saw him develop. I think he fits well with that team environment. And so, but you also just need to keep getting these reassurances. And so I think it'll be interesting to see how they go about addressing the defense and skill and receiver room.
Yeah.
I think those are probably like their 2 overall biggest areas of needs.
Yeah, and I do feel like too this they have what 10 picks? What is that?
Yeah, 10
10,
picks.
10 picks. They could go be aggressive. Like let's say like a Luther Burden or a Tet, even a Tet falls into the late teens. Go package the 30th and one of those seconds and move up 10 or so spots, 10 12 spots, and maybe you'll even get a third back in that trade
Yeah.
as well. And I feel like too that that would be beneficial for them to make that move. So I'm excited for the Bills. Even as a Patriots fan, I do like Josh Allen as a person, and I do root for them, especially when they play the Chiefs. But I think they have a really good chance over the next 2-3 years to really make a Super Bowl run and finally get over that hump. So let's go ahead. Let's wrap up this video on that note. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, leave a comment on what you thought of this Bills 7-round mock draft. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you have done differently? And on that, we'll see you guys next time.